Matthias here from Molnify. Today I want to show you how you can alter the UI cells of an output to create different styles of output. For instance, you can see here that we have a black output box with a comment in it. Right here we have $27. Down here we have a people matrix, that's actually a car matrix, and down here we have a dynamic text where the text changes when I type different numbers. And if I type in text here, you can see that that prints out here, and if I click here you can see a cat. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay, so here we are in the Google Sheets sheet, and as you can see I have already prepared a few inputs here. I also have 6 output boxes here, and I have some metadata here with an ID that will get the app its URL and a name that will name the app for me. And if I go to the app itself, this is what it looks like. We can see here the inputs, a number, a text, and click here to see a cat, but that doesn't work yet. Over here we have 6 output boxes, and this is just the number you write here times 2 times 3 times 4 and so on. Okay, so let's now focus on changing these output boxes here, and there's a bunch of things you can do. Let's start first off with a simple one. So Molnify supports icons, and the icons Molnify support are the Font Awesome 4.7 icons. You can use all of these icons here. So let's say, for instance, I want to have an area chart as my background icon in my app. In that case, I'll go back to the Google Sheets sheet and I'll type icon in the UI cell equals fa-area-chart. Then when I go back to the app, I click the cloud and I hit update. Now the first output box of my app is going to have the area chart as an icon here. This is a really neat trick that you can do. If you go into your cell, the output cell that's red here, and you right click, and then you go down to comment and you type comment, for instance, like that. When I go back to the app now and I click my cloud and hit update, now you're going to see that the first output here is going to be a little bit different than the others. There's going to be a darker tint of green here and the text a comment here. Speaking of darker tints, you can also change the colors of outputs. So if I want to change the color of this first output here, I can add to my UI cell, which is of course this cell right here, background equals, and then the hex code for black. If I now go back to the app and I update it, I get a black output box. Maybe I also want to change the text of the output box. In that case, I'll go back to the UI cell once again in the Google Sheets sheet. I type a semicolon to separate my commands, and then I type color equals, and the color red, for instance, that's the hex code for red. Back to the app, hit update, and when it's updated you can see that now the text color here is red. Okay, remember how we used to do dividers for the inputs? Well, you can do those for outputs as well. Maybe I want to divide these 3 and these 3 with a nice text above here and above here. If I want to do that, I go back to the sheet, and in the first output I will type semicolon, divider name equals divider. I go down here and I'll type divider name equals another divider, divider, like that. And now when I go back to the app, click the cloud, hit update, Molnify is going to produce 2 dividers for me. So up here you can see it says a divider, and down here another divider. Here I wanted to say $6 in the output box. In that case I will go back to my app, and this I can solve with an Excel or Google Sheets formula. So what I'll do is I'll go to this output box where I have my 6 here, and then I'll just type an and sign and a space and then dollars, like that. Now it's going to say $6 here, and when I go back to my app and hit update, the output box is going to read $6. And if I click here, well, that will of course change. Another thing that you can do with red boxes is that you can turn them into HTML boxes. And the way to do that is to, of course, color the cell that you want to become an HTML box red, like that. And what can you do then with HTML boxes? Well, it's a really good way to create, for instance, dynamic text. So I have prepared down here some text, and if we just quickly go through this, here I will insert an HTML tag that will say H4, which will make this text a little bit bigger. Then down here we have a line break. Actually, I think I want to have 2 line breaks here, so I'll add another one. And then I've typed in, you wrote the number, and then here it says 2, because this is a cell reference up to the number 2 here. And then I've typed in comma, space, and that make a total sum of, and then in this cell I have a sum formula that sums up all of these here, and that will say 48. And then we have a line break, and then it says you also wrote this text. And here I have a cell reference to just the text box up here, and then a line break, and here I've inserted a formula. So if we go up here and take a look at that, so this is an if formula. Oh, let me close that. So if C5, that's this one, that's the button in the Molnify app. If that's true, in that case it will spell out, and you clicked the cat button, so here you go. And if it's false, it won't print out anything, and right now it's false. Maybe we can also set this to true so you can see. And down here is another if formula, so if C5, in that case it will just insert this URL, which is the URL of a cat. Okay, so let's tie all of this text together, and we'll do that with a concatenate function. So let's create that. I will concatenate this cell, and that's my concatenate function. So if I now go to my app and I hit update without writing anything in the UI cell of this output, this is what Molnify is going to produce. You're going to have another output box, but it won't be an HTML box. It will be just a regular output box that will be a little bit bigger, and that doesn't look really that good. It will of course have all the functionality. So if I change my numbers and write my text here, you will see that in the box. But what we want to do is that we want to go back to the app, and in the UI cell of this output we will type HTML and hit enter. Then when we go back to the app and hit update, this is going to transform this into its own panel that is going to be a dynamic HTML text. So here you can see the H4 tags writing out this in a little bit larger text. Then it says you wrote the number 2, and that makes it the total sum of 48. So if I click this here, you can see that the numbers will change, and if I type something, in that case that will spell out here, and if I click the button here, we will also see the picture of a cat. One thing to note is that down here you can see that we have a copy button. If I click this, I can copy this all of the contents in this box into another document, but maybe I don't want the copy button. It's actually there by default in Molnify. If I want it to be gone, I can go into the Google Sheets sheet again, and in the UI cell I will separate my commands and type hide copy. Then when I go back to the app, click the cloud and hit update, you will see that the copy button, it's gone from here. So let's try one last thing here. Let's say that we want this output to become something else than an output box. In that case, I can go in here and I can type people matrix, hit enter, and when I go back to the app, hit the cloud and hit update, Molnify is going to transform this last output box into a people matrix that looks like this. That of course also is dynamic. Let me just move this up here. If I type 15 here, for instance, well, then all of the peoples here will be filled out. So maybe 2. The equation will still run, and you can see that the guys here, they will turn red once the numbers increases. And you can actually use any kind of icon here. You can once again use the font awesome icons. So maybe I want to have cars instead. In that case, the name for this icon here is automobile. So I'll go back into the Google Sheets sheet and into the UI cell of the output, and I'll type icon equals FA, as in font awesome, automobile, and I hit enter. Then I'll go back to the app and I'll hit update, and now you can see that we have cars here instead as the people matrix. If I go up here, there will be more red cars. You can of course change the colors here to if you want to do that. Okay, so this is what you can do with UI cells in Molnify. If you want to read more about UI cells and outputs, you can go to our reference guide where you can read everything there is to know about Molnify functions, and among those the UI cells of outputs. If you want to try creating your own application, please head on over to app.molnify.com and sign up for a 14-day free trial where you can either upload your Excel files or link your Google Sheets document and create apps. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. Have a really nice day. Bye bye.